Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn is the best fight of 2025 so far. It was an intense, back-and-forth war featuring two guys who were fighting for something bigger than themselves. There were no belts on the line, but instead they were trying to uphold their father's legacy. The storyline wrote itself, and I'm glad that the actual fight was just as entertaining as the build-up, if not more so. I might do a separate video detailing my thoughts on the fight later on, as the main topic of this video is about one of the bouts on the undercard, Viddal Riley vs Chev Clark. Viddal challenging Chev for the British Cruiserweight title was probably what I was looking forward to the most, other than Eubank vs Benn, the main event. So I've watched YouTube boxing from the beginning, and Viddal was such a prominent figure in that space in the early stages, training KSI for his bouts with Joe Weller and Logan Paul. He then retired from coaching YouTubers in 2020 to pursue his own professional career, being a great amateur prospect himself. Viddal was initially signed with Mayweather Promotions, an American-based company obviously, and that didn't seem like the best fit, being out of the UK. He was racking up wins against journeyman-level opposition, which is standard for boxers just starting in the pro ranks, but it was when Viddal made the deal with Boxer when things really took off. Viddal's level of opponents increased, he grabbed the English title in a fight against Nathan Corliss, and obviously went on to become British champ as well. Today I wanted to talk about the potential of Viddal Riley and if he can go on to attain a world title. Viddal is currently in the Cruiserweight division and he is ranked number 18 on BoxRec. Now Cruiserweight, especially at the moment, is a notoriously shallow weight class where there's quite a lot of top-ranked boxers 35 or over. Of course you have Chris Billam-Smith, Ryan Razicki, Leonardo Mosquera, who are below 35, but I think it's in Viddal's best interest to snipe one of these 35 or over boxers in the top rankings in order to get a title shot. But I think he can also hang with the Chris Billam-Smiths. I mean, he beat him in the amateurs anyway. They're Ryan Razickis. I think Viddal can beat these guys handedly as well. I'm just saying what would be easiest to fast track him to the title. I'm not trying to discount the skill level of these boxers who are 35 or over in the division. They've been around the block and seem tough to nail to the canvas. But on the other hand, they're aging out of the division, and just based on age alone, I think they'll be pretty easy pickings for Viddal. Two of Viddal's biggest assets in a boxing ring include his speed and reflexes, which will both pose a major problem for the weight class. I imagine Viddal only needs 1 or 2 more wins at Cruiserweight probably before he fights for a world title. I imagine he'll pick off a couple of the older boxers that have circled around the top 10 for years, and after that go straight for the WBC title, held by Badou Jack. In terms of sheer styles, Viddal would have the easiest time beating Badou Jack as he's 41 years old. He didn't look great in his last fight, and he seems like the most likely to lose his title first anyway. I know Viddal and Badou are friendly, I get it, they're friends. But this is competition at the end of the day, and objectively, Badou would be the easiest to beat. The other title holders, Zurdo Ramirez and Jairo Pitaya, are way more of a threat. Badou Jack, at this point in his career, is going on a bit of a victory lap, defending the WBC belt a couple of times before he eventually retires. That's pretty much what's happening. While Zurdo and Jai are the next generation of a division. They're the new blood at the top, and hopefully they can sort out a fucking unification bout sometime next year. If Viddal goes out and wins the WBC title, for example, in the next 18 months, then all of the Cruiserweight champions in boxing will be under 35, which would be great. Hopefully that'll make the weight class more exciting to watch, as I'm strangely attached to the Cruiserweight division. I've been watching Viddal Riley's career and wanting him to grow because he comes from that YouTube background, and I'm rooting for Jairo Pitaya as well because he's Australian. Anyway, Viddal can definitely be a world champion. He's young, he has solid boxing IQ, and his movement speed is lightning quick, which are all great assets to have in an older, poor division like Cruiserweight. How does he stack up against Zurdo and Jairo Pitaya though? This may be professional glazing on my part, but I think he matches up really well against Zurdo and can 100% take him on. Zotto is a good combination puncher and just doesn't stop swarming you, but he also plods forward kinda slowly, and I think if Vidal stays switched on, he has a great chance of winning. If Vidal can beat Ramirez, the only challenge that'll stand in his way in the division would be Jai Opetaia, which would be a fucking amazing fight to see. It would also be a tough ask for Vidal. I don't think Jai Opetaia gets enough credit. He is an incredible boxer and a pretty devastating puncher. He's explosive, he also has youth on his side, and Vidal would need to cook up a pretty perfect game plan in order to beat him. I genuinely don't know how that fight goes. Jai is as tough as they come. And maybe it's a bit too early for me to be talking about that fight even. But at the same time, boxing fans are already putting Moses Itauma in future champ conversations and he's only 20 years old. So fuck it. I believe Vidal can definitely become world champ anyway, especially in the cruiserweight division. It's just I'm not sure if he can beat Jai Opetaia. That's the only guy in the weight class who Vidal struggles with in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts about Vidal Riley's potential in boxing, and I'll catch you down the road.